do a lot better job than that. Then the most important, which is what everybody has doubt about the intention of Facebook, whether fair or unfair, is that blockchain is supposed to empower the weak, the neglected, the needy, the despised and so on, but not to manipulate them, right? If we are collecting the data and so on to try to entice them to do gambling, allow, malicious elements to use it for scams and so on, then this is manipulation. This is not, so this is the kind of ultimate blockchain design thinking that they're talking about. Deliberately not to go too deep in the technical stuff, so I didn't cover any of the mathematics. In the 1 hour or so, I tried to be as layman as possible. I wasn't very precise. So not all the things I said is very precise, okay? But I was just trying to convey the message to you what we can do with blockchain and what we cannot do with blockchain and what the misconceptions are. We have a few more minutes. Maybe Malik and I can actually get any questions from you that you would like to ask. Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the good presentation. I would like to ask about the ADB side, if they are looking forward for blockchain system for assisting the developing member countries. Thank you, Lid.
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Maybe Lisette can answer.
Okay.
So we're looking for opportunities to use blockchain for development. We have actually piloted one use case in Fiji where we're using blockchain solution for land registry. We're also looking to work with ATEC. So we're happy to hear from solutions providers who believe that their solutions can actually solve real people's problems, especially around financial inclusion. I think there is lots of opportunities to use this technology. Maybe that term is wrong now. Not really. For development, but for sure we are looking at these.
Professor Malikji earlier pointed out that use of blockchain entails a lot of energy consumption. Earlier, I thought maybe I may be wrong, but your presentation, blockchain is the underlying technology. How much of energy use and the concern of the environment will be an issue? If you could reflect.
So, sorry, before Professor Lee starts, I would like to clarify that that was from a proof of work algorithm, consensus algorithm perspective. Proof of stake works quite differently. So, just that little caveat.
So to answer your question, is that proof of work actually requires a lot of energy consumption, and there is a race in building up in the technology to actually do mining in the case of Bitcoin. But every single problem that you see in blockchain design, somebody is working on a solution. And there are many solutions of that. One is a proof of stake, which means that, depending on what's the stake, you can stake it out there and then you can get a return from your staking. And those who stake on that, because you have your interest aligned with the network, therefore you are allowed to actually verify the ledger. And if that's not enough, you want it to be faster, then you can have delegated proof of stake. Like in the case of Libra, you can actually have a smaller number, 100 of them. Okay, there's always a trade-off. You become more centralized in your verification of the ledger, but at the same time, the transaction per second will be faster. So there's no free lunch. So as you give out the electricity consumption, I would say the proof of work is the most secure, right? Because you really ensure that the verification is right. But unfortunately, it's not so decentralized because it requires the dollar amount to buy the equipment and to use the electricity. But as we go towards more centralized, there is always a trade-off. So depending the problem that you're trying to solve, electricity consumption may not be a problem, but others are still inefficient. You still have to hold okay, you still can solve the problem of storage. I can allow this group of people to store this part of the ledger, and then I could allow the other group of people to store. So there are many solutions, but there are no perfect solutions. There is always a trade-off.
Thank you. And if you go back to, I think the presentations will be circulated. There was actually a slide which showcased different consensus algorithms, and I didn't go into them into detail because of one, time constraint, B, because it was getting a bit too technical for this group. So if you're interested, you can study it afterwards. Thank you.
Last, 2 more minutes for the last question.
Behind the DCEP, it's a Chinese central bank. I think they are very different model of the blockchain. And which one do you think is more safe and will be easy to success?
Yeah, so
Again, just one caveat. As Professor Lee said, this will be discussed in detail on Thursday during our panel, so be there, you will get more perspectives.
So a quick answer to yours is that they are trying to solve slightly different problems, but this afternoon 3:30 I will talk about the better of minting coins, right? It's a better out there. So 3:30 I will talk much deeper into that. Will you be able to come back at 3:30 so I can talk more, and then we can go on to Friday, even deeper discussions. I think it's break time. Malik Live would like to thank you for paying attention. If you have any questions, you always can come to me, and if there are things unclear, or I've said anything wrongly, or offended anyone, I apologize. But I was just trying to give a very clear picture this afternoon in the workshop. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Lee, as well. And if I may add, I have had the pleasure of being with him at many conferences, and he's really an evangelist when it comes to using these technologies for the disenfranchised or the disempowered, if I may say. So whatever you saw, a lot of it comes not only from his expertise, but from his genuine conviction about these things. So it's not just here. I have now seen him about half a dozen times all over the world. So if you have questions about some of the companies that he shared, and I think I also briefly alluded to them about this, tokenizing of cows or livestock or agriculture products, and I said Professor Lee will talk about it in detail, so I didn't go into detail. So this will certainly be a good opportunity during the coffee break to get those insights from him. Thank you.